Now let's start with the front pages of the paper. Some of them are here. The BNFT begins and says TOR levy to last 10 more years. That's the story on the BNFT Daily Graphic. Peace Council, not political governing body. Photographs of some leading members of the council there. The Today newspaper says EC exhibit re-registered NHIS voters on Friday. Peace Council exposes Martey over chairmanship slot claim. Professor Martey's photograph is here. The Daily Statement says Central Region angry with Mahama, accuse him of denigrating legacy of males. And Bamia speaks on economy tomorrow. These stories will attract our attention. The General Telegraph says EC to answer voters' questions live on TV and the weekly interactive program for the public on Wednesdays. And the Finder says 530,000 dead on register, only 64,274 names removed. Madam Chairperson's photograph is there. The Ghanaian Times has this story, which broke yesterday, 270 bikes seized, and photograph of some of the bikes there. The Daily Guide, billionaire robber nabbed with flashy cars and cash. You see his photograph there, Jalo Jani. In Kumasi, ACP, DCOP Nathan Kofi Boachi made the announcement yesterday. These are some of the pages on COP, Nathan Kofi Boachi made the announcement yesterday. My guest this morning, to my extreme right, is the Chief Executive and Chairman of Clay Council, Professor Clement Dodonu. Good morning.
Professor Cletus.
Good morning once again.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for your time this morning. And then to my right is the President of the Accra Institute of Technology, Professor Clement Dodonu. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome too.
Thank you.
To my left is the Chief Executive Officer of CTFM. Good morning, Samis.
Morning,
sir. I hope you are doing good too.
Very well.
Great.
Very well. Thank you.
Okay. Let's start with this story on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Peace Council, not political. That's according to the governing body of that council. And this follows what has been in the media over some time now. The fact that some allegations of lobbying to get Professor Martey to be the chairperson of the council. He, according to the story so far, rejected it because he thought it's not right. Now, Professor Jido, let me start with you. Now, some have suggested that if indeed there were attempts at lobbying for the chairperson of the council, then it speaks so much of exactly the council's role as a mediator when it comes to conflict, misunderstanding.
Well, good morning to your viewers and listeners. It's very important for us to put this story within context. Professor Martey claimed that he was lobbied for the chairmanship of the Peace Council. We also know that he was nominated by the Christian Council. The Christian Council have one member on the Peace. The Christian Council has one member on the Peace Council. We understood he was nominated to be a member. Then he also claimed that someone, is it a deputy minister,
right,
for Interior?
Yes, Minister of Interior.
Yeah, lobbied him to be the chairman, and this happened 2 months ago. Or leading to the
inauguration,
which is about 2 months ago.
Right.
Now, basically, when you look at the Act, the National Peace Council Act 2011, it states that the chairperson and the members of the board shall be appointed by the president in accordance with Article 70 of the Constitution. Various constituencies nominate members for the council, and then the appointment of the council and the members is done by the president. So it means that the president do have the prerogative to appoint the chairman of the council. That's the first point. Now, as to whether the deputy minister for Interior actually did lobby Professor Martey to be the chairman, I really don't get the point. Certainly, when boards or councils are set up, people approach people and say, look, we think we want you to be the chairman. Do you want to do it? If it did happen, I really don't see anything wrong with that. Since the president can make the appointment, his ministers and people might talk to the prospective nominees for the membership that we are nominating for that. Now, if that actually did happen, as Professor Martey claimed, I really don't see any issue there. Now, as to where Professor Martey made this public, now is what I am a bit concerned about. Is he saying that it was wrong that it's lobbied? He was lobbied and he refused. Why is it not an issue? He said, oh, you know what? They lobby me to be chairman because they want to silence me. What is he saying that he thinks that people don't want to say? So for me, those are the murky areas of these issues. But I don't think we need to drag this too much, to be frank with you. It's just one person who has a claim. It may be a valid claim, but does it really matter if that is what happened? So for me, I don't think the Peace Council is having another press conference. Is that correct? To tell us that they are not political.
There was a conference, yes.
Yes, and they said they are not political. Yes, I think we should believe.
Trying to explain how the chairperson is nominated, appointed, and inaugurated by the president.
Yes,
to show that it is not political.
Of course, it's clear. It's clear. The process is very clear. But at the end of the day, it's the president who appoints the council. According to their own 2011 here, is the president who make the final decision. The Peace Council, the Peace, the Ahmadiyya movement, the various groups can nominate people.
Yes, of course. The
Yes.
Christian Council, the president himself has two nominations.
That's correct.
Other groups have nominations too.
And then finally they go to the Flagstaff House, and then the president saw them in. So look, you are now the Peace Council. So the government will have a role to play. So as to whether after they are appointed, their pronouncements, their activities, the things they do are seen political, I think it is for we the people to judge. We listen to them when they talk. Some time ago, Professor Asante, who is the chairman, when he was nominated as a member of that group, the EC nominated
the five members
group.
Person.
People said that he's an NDC man. Is that correct? So these things do happen. So I think whether or not the pronouncements or the activities of the Peace Council is political, I think ordinary people can judge that. It's not for them to say that we are not political, but I don't think the process as it is makes them political. The way they do their things will make a determination on that. But for me, as to the Professor Martey issue, I don't really think that they are big issues. If he's lobbied, of course yet. He may not be the only one lobbied for the chairmanship. Some other people might be lobbied. And finally, they appointed a chairman, who is a substantive chairman now, who we all think is doing a good job. As to whether they are political or not, I think we, the people, will judge based on their pronouncements.
I'm grateful. Professor Cletus Dodono, so according to the Act, the chairperson and members of the board, or the chairperson is appointed by the president in consultation with Article 70, in accordance with 70 of the Constitution. Now, if indeed Professor Martey was being lobbied just to stop him from speaking his mind, would you also say that it shouldn't be a worry?
That's a good question. I don't know if it is Peace Council. I don't know whether they will start with confusion before. You know, UN is a peacekeeping group in some quarters, but they are not part of the troubles. But when there is trouble, they go. But this Peace Council, the way things are going, it looks like there must be some confusion, and then they will try to bring peace. And they are starting from themselves. Because personally, I don't see any issue. I don't. You are setting up a group which will be in our governance structure. they have some mandates, clear objectives. You live to that. People were nominated. They must be competent enough. That is why they are nominated. Then one person of that group comes to the open that is being lobbied to because they want to silence him. I don't see the point. Maybe I need some more information to really know precisely what had happened before I can make very serious inferences. But personally, I don't see it.
On the back that he has, before this pronouncement, also made the allegations that some political party had tried to silence him with $100,000 bribe, a house and a car. So there's a link there suggesting that these are all attempts to stop him from speaking his mind.
And he came to the open. Already is a person who must be seen as speaking his mind. He speaks his mind.
Right.
So what I'm not very clear about, if they bribe you, you can decide to say, no, I won't take it. And you keep on moving. What has that to do with the job you accepted to do for the nation? We must remember that nominations to these various councils are not compulsory. When you are nominated, you can decline it. And many people have been in such situations and they resign silently just to prove that they are not in for any game. So there are a few reflections to be done based on some really concrete information. I don't know what he is up to, except that maybe the Peace Council must start with confusion and then bring peace later. I don't see the point. But the most critical thing is, if he's coming to the open this way, I tell you honestly, he must definitely have reasons why he's coming to the fore. Definitely. Because a very important person, Assad, we know him to speak his mind. I'm not saying it is true or it is not true. But whatever it is, that must be a person who speaks his mind, coming to the fore, to the public, to say what he is saying. But he must also come with the same speed to explain the specifics, the circumstances, and even possible to shame those who are trying to bribe him or corrupt him. So personally, I don't think it's an issue.
I see. I'm grateful, Prof. Mr. Temensa, then the Minister of the Interior comes in and says, well, all that he's suggesting, the lobbying, is not true, and that he's not been lobbied at all. And then it gets back to the fact that, indeed, if it is true or not, then we need to take another look at this council, because it's a very huge institution that perhaps when we are in trouble we'll run to. Now if these allegations of true and not true are coming, then we should be in trouble.
Oh man. I think if indeed my good friend Agalga attempted in any way, shape or form to influence the choice of who becomes the chairman of the Peace Council, if that is true, then I will still salute him, because that shows political maturity. I mean, the Peace Council is a critical institution within the democratic dispensation that we are seeing. They refer to themselves as non-political, but I say they are political. I mean, they are non-partisan.
Right.
But they serve a political purpose because they are largely in a supervisory or responsible role to check the political stability of this country. Reason why, leading up to the political season, there's an inauguration And if you listen to the president on that inauguration, he made a lot of references to the season that we are getting into. Now, the Peace Council too could have helped itself by being loud enough on non-political issues. Waiting for 4 years and start coming out on issues that are related to the political stability of the country will leave us with no other description but to make you a politically relevant institution. So I don't know whether what he meant to say was we are non-partisan.
I get so.
Which I will agree.
Exactly.
You know, they are not
Yes.
there on party colors. But they serve a political purpose. That is why a minister or somebody in government should be indeed interested in who becomes the chairperson. Now, if that backfires, we now want to find out whether it's okay for Reverend Martey to go out in the public. That's one side. And then the second one, whether it's okay for the Peace Council, the whole council, to organize a press conference to respond to Reverend Martey.
Yeah.
Question I asked yesterday was that in the last couple of weeks, Reverend Martey has spoken 3 or 4 times to the public. Is the Peace Council going to organize a press conference anytime reference is made about them? Who loses? Maybe being the Peace Council, one would have expected that they would invite him privately. First of all, invite him as adults. He is a reverend minister who was superintendent over one of the largest congregations, denominations in Ghana for the last 4 or 5 years. So we maybe they could have used that approach, because now everything is in the open. Now, as Prof was saying, now the Peace Council rather starts off on a note of confusion or a seeming confusion. So who's now going to ensure the peace for the country?
Is there not a way to clear itself because
hoping that Reverend Martey will not come back. So what if he comes back? Will the Peace Council organize another press conference?
I think the press conference was simply to let the public know how these members are elected or nominated or get
Well,
onto the
but
board.
even with how they are elected, it does not eliminate the possibility of somebody being lobbied. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
And Prof said it, right? I mean, even government institutions, they lobby to get somebody to chair the board. Public institutions.
So
they
for you,
lobby.
lobbying is not wrong in any way.
What I didn't say that lobbying is not wrong. I'm saying that it shows that somebody is interested in making sure that their interests are being taken care of, even within the Peace Council. But that's politics.
So if Professor Martey was being lobbied, you say that somebody is trying to ensure his or her interest is being taken care of.
Of course. This is not church. It's not church. It is politics. And so, yes, that's why you see that the Constitution, the Act itself gives the President of the Republic that prerogative to choose who becomes the chairman. Isn't that the case? Yes. So it means that there is a role that is being played by the chairperson which should be in the interest of the governing party. I mean, that cannot be denied. And by that, I'm not saying that it is true they lobbied, but I'm saying that if indeed they did, I think that every political party should be able to do that. It may be wrong morally, but hey, you don't just cede your interest and in the name of there's a church going on, so I'm waiting. You never know who will be there. So assuming without admitting that Reverend Martey, in his characteristic self, were the chairman of the Peace Council and he gives this kind of speeches, would the government be happy? And now the quotation will be the chairman of the Peace Council says that he was offered a bribe. How about that?
I see. So Samuel, so for you, you think that one, government has an interest in who chairs the council?
Of course.
So
no, I'm saying that
every government. No,
I said every government should be interested.
Have. Okay, every government should have. Then again, you want to suggest that that institution is not one that is partisan. It's a bit confusing.
No, I'm just saying that
the one
there
that is
shouldn't be. What I'm saying that what he probably wants to say is that we are not partisan. But to say we are not political, I said I disagree. It's a heavily politically relevant organization. So it's intertwined with the politics of this nation. That's the point I'm making. But there are members who are not serving partisan interests. This is the point I'm making.
Right, I just spotted something.
I'm grateful.
Right, let me comment on something. Yes.
Jidonu, come in.
Is here. The members of the board shall elect one of their number as chairperson. That is the key point. The members of the board elect one of their members as the chairperson. First, the nomination comes for the various constituencies. They're all listed. Then, the president, two other persons nominated by
the president,
the House of Chiefs, and so and so. Then, members of the board, when they are constituted, will then elect one of their members as the chairperson. After that is done, then the chairperson and the members of the board shall be appointed by the president. Now, this is a very interesting clause.
Yesterday, Professor Asante tried to explain that at the press conference.
Yes.
And suggested that the way the structure stands in the Act,
Yes,
it suggests that the chairperson is appointed by the president. But he said it is not like that. And like what you explained, that's what he tried to explain.
yes, it's very clear.
It's not a direct appointment that Professor Jidonu has been appointed by the president to serve as a chairperson.
Yes, I think it's quite clear. If they follow the Act, I'm sure they followed it. Okay? Because I was wondering, who actually select one of these people to be the chairperson? Is it the president say, okay, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you be the chairperson. Then you all come down. I'm going to appoint you. You see, there's a difference between appointment and the selection process. The constituencies are well identified. They call on them, send one person for the distance. So the Peace Council, the Christian Council sent Professor Martey.
And which they later changed him.
They changed him. Probably he declined. He said that, well, it's because he was nominated by the Christian Council. Somebody called him, and then he think he was nominated because eventually they wanted to be the chairperson. They said, no, the Holy Spirit informed him not to go. That's what he said. Okay? But it's clear here that after the members are constituted from these various groups, not anybody, they then sit at their first meeting and then elect a chairman. We could ask the Peace Council now, was the process followed? Yes. Did you people elect Professor? Do you inaugurate you, as we also on TV? Yes. So there's no way the government or anybody will have lobbied somebody to be a chairman, but it's still possible. It's still possible. It's still possible that Professor Martey will have been told, we know that the Christian Council nominated you for the what? The membership. Good. But we are pulling for you. That in event that there's election for the chairmanship, we, government, we want to make sure that you are the one. All those things are possible.
All right.
But the fact is that, even given all that, I don't think Professor Martey's claim on them being lobbied or non-lobbied for the chairmanship of the Peace Council is as a serious matter as his other claim that somebody gave him, want to bribe him $100,000, is it $100,000?
The house and the car.
Very good. It's interesting.
The house at Trasaco.
Yes. You look at say $100,000.
Not the house at Dakuma, at Trasaco.
You look at say the $100,000. The president Ford for Burkina also is almost around $100,000. Is that correct? You look at see you have your figure now for this kind of thing.
Okay. Let me put this question to Professor Cletus Dodonu. Mr. Atamensa is suggesting that governments should have a say in who chairs this institution that we see as...
No, I said should have an interest.
Okay,
it's not the same as have a say.
All right. Thanks for the correction. Should have an interest in who chairs this institution that is seen as a mediator.
Well, I think it is in the backdrop of his point, which I agree with, that group, council, Peace Council,
right,
is a very political group. not in terms of activism, but it is non-partisan. They cannot say we are
PPP or CPP or NDC.
No, they cannot say that. So they are representing the interest of good governance, good political governance in Ghana, to ensure that there is peace. As much as possible, look at the best ways of preventing any conflicts and disasters on the political front, which definitely will affect other things. It will affect economy, social, and many other things. So when you look at it that way, I am not too sure that he is wrong in saying what he is saying. But of course, you should be interested. If you are in Ghana, you are living in Ghana, first line, you'll be interested. Second, you may be investing in Ghana. Definitely, you prefer peace to make do with your business. Third, you may never have any other country which you call your own. And among other reasons, anything that will ensure peace, people will be interested in. Therefore, I am not personally sure that there is anything wrong with the interests that are in there. But the point that he made, and which I still think needs more reflection, is that they came to the public to talk about the Peace Council, to deny and accept, and so on and so forth. And then the question is put, did they consult the speaker, the one who spoke, not Speaker of Parliament?
Professor Martey.
Did they consult him? I don't know. Maybe they did, and he told them what he has to tell them, or they did not. I don't know. If I knew those things, then I'm in a stronger position to try to really come to grips with the issues. I don't know. Maybe he was consulted and he spoke his mind. Maybe he was not. But these are conjectures. I am not going to build my inferences on those
on conjectures. I know. Grateful. Sometimes, even before we go to another issue, if you suggest that this is indeed the case, the government should have, every government should have a say.
You keep using the word
interest.
Interest. The next I see TV2 will go and write a story. You know.
Sorry, pardon me. Interest. You don't think that it will then erode its non-partisanship?
So let me ask you, why not? Why shouldn't a government be interested in who drives the affairs of the Peace Council?
Because it's supposed to be a neutral mediator when it comes to confusion.
Yeah, but being interested in who becomes doesn't make it non-neutral.
Somehow, the perception out there that, well, the president had an interest in Samens chairing the council, so certainly the whole body is partisan.
Isn't the EC neutral politically?
Yes.
Who makes the choice for who chairs the EC?
The president.
Yeah, so he has an interest. Does it make it partisan because he has an interest in who becomes the chair? That's the question I throw back to you. I mean, the fact that you show interest, it has not to say that you're going to micromanage. But you can't sit and watch who. Look, let me leave who becomes the EC chair to opposition people or CDD to choose for me. Let me leave it to IEA to choose for me. You can't do that. And I'm saying that everybody in government should be interested and will be interested.
So based on that, will you say that then Professor Martey's argument that, well, perhaps I was being lobbied to get me to keep quiet, then it's neither here nor there?
I'm not in that judgment position. He knows a lot more than we do. I mean, you see, if you listen to Professor Martey on his first encounter, he made a point that I still don't hear anybody talk about. He said that he had been compelled to do what he's doing because of the numerous messages, threats, and death threats that he's receiving. people, and even the day before this, the first interview he granted, he said he had an anonymous call. The person called him and just insulted him, you know. So he was under pressure. You know, everybody, people trying to kind of put him in a certain corner, we threaten you and all. So he thought that, hey, let me come out and let people know what I'm going through, so that one day if something happens to me, people can, you know, do the linkages. So he knows a lot more than we do. But based on what he has put out in the public, this is all we can say.
Well, okay, I'm grateful. Let's move on. The BNFT talks about TOR levy to last for 10 more years. The story, according to Mr. Kwame Wadakun of the TEMA refinery, the debt is expected to last 10 more years. Now, proceeds from the debt has reportedly exceeded 1.9 billion Ghana cedis over a 6-year period ending 2015, and despite the TOR debt resulting from under recoveries amounting to 900 million cedis as of 2009, according to figures from the African Center for Energy Policy. So, Mr. Wadakun is explaining that the debt is far from being cleared off its books, with the arrears now close to about 1 billion. Now, according to him, government is keen on raising 917 million CD long-term loan facility, which will last a 10-year period to settle TOR's indebtedness. He also goes on to say that the interest on the debt incurred will be serviced with proceeds from the TOR debt recovery levy component of the energy sector levies. Professor Cletus Dodone, let me start with you. This TOR levy issue, the last time I heard about it, some were asking government to come out clear and tell us how much we have accumulated and how much the energy sector levy has collected by way of monies to service this levy. Now, should we be comfortable being told that for 10 more years we have to pay this levy? Everywhere we're not sure how long we have been paying. The years are not too clear.
We shall not be comfortable. Nobody in Ghana will be comfortable with what is going on. Nobody. Let's start with the debt issue. I think in 2004 we talked about this on GTV. We had a talking point on it and we raised some concerns. Those concerns are still valid today. Debt is normally not static unless you have some special arrangement which will give a ceiling. Otherwise, the debt can be accumulating interest, and then it will be dynamic. So at times, it's not easy to put a specific finger on what the total debt is. Having said that, we have been with this TOR levy debt recovery program since, if I remember, since 2003 or thereabout. So you are very right to ask whether do we know the numbers, what has come in up to this time, what has been cleared, and what is remaining. So if we are being told in this paper that of course, we are going to stay paying this levy for another 10 years. Oh, yes, of course, we have every reason to be very, very worried. But let me slant a little bit on the key issues here. You see, Ghana itself, when you look at our degree of compliance with international rules and regulations, and with our own rules and regulations, we are doing about only around 30%. We do not comply with the rules that govern businesses, setups, and so on and so forth. As a result, it is not very clear that people are fully informed about the exact issues on the ground. So the question that we'll be putting is, why has this TOR debt even come at all? Was there a seed that generated the debt to grow? Why didn't we pick it? Analysis payment of the debt. How is it being liquidated? The amortization. Interest payment. Is there still accumulating interest, or it has been restructured so that either you put zero to the growth of interest payment or moderated so that it will not explode? So when you put all this together, you see that we are a very uncompliant country. We don't do the rule. TOR has a very important role to play in the petroleum economy of Ghana. We have crude oil. We have TOR, this company which was set up long ago by Italian group for Ghana. When we took over, we have always been known for messing it up, like we mess up almost all businesses in this country, especially once it is given the public bias. It's no exception. So there are many, many, many issues when you have crude oil. You need a lot of geopolitical muscle to be able to get your crude processed in your country. Because some people did the exploration and so on and so forth. Very big conglomerates are interested. You want to be able to pin it down, have some very clear understanding, and then you have TOR only to be referred to as an indebted company. How did it come about? Why are we still suffering? We will continue using refined oil. Nobody uses crude oil except for value addition processing to get the refined, which we can use. So when you look at the whole thing, we are now becoming a country of high indebtedness. We are going to be known for borrow, borrow, borrow. It is going to be increasing what people have about us, the perceived credit worthiness, our interest rate on the loans we want to get, on the bonds we want to float, will continue to be high because people will think that we are a risky country. How can people be getting bonds at 2% interest, maximum 2.5% interest? You rarely see 4%, and we are going for 10.75. It's a measure of the perceived risk about Ghana. So we really, 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 really need to put our house in order. And that is for government to do.
I'm grateful. Professor Jidonu, the African Center for Energy Policy, Jidonu is suggesting, pardon me once again, is suggesting that from what we are paying, about 41 pesos per liter of petroleum product, we should have overpaid this debt long ago.
Yes. But we are paying, we're still paying, and the guy said what? Another more 10 years. Another what? 10 years.
Yes.
And then when the 10 years expire, you say, why don't we go for another 20 years? I think we need to really look at the basis. How did we get here? How did we get here? You see, when you're in a situation, you find yourself in a situation, you need to reflect. How did we find ourselves in this situation? Now, how did we actually incur this debt in the first place? Is it because we were over-consuming? We are buying at credit? We're not paying? And then it's not time for us to pay, then become a debt? Or is it because we are paying, but we are not consuming well, or whatever? But at the end of the day, we have a situation of debt. That's a couple of years ago. And then somebody say, you know what, to pay out this debt, let's levy the people of Ghana. Is that the case? The people of Ghana will raise money. They say so far we raised what, 1.9 by 2009?
Yes, we have so far raised about 1.9 billion cedis.
That was when?
From 2015 last year.
2015. We raised
2015.
1.9 billion. And this guy said that 1.9 billion is still not going to clear the debt. Now, what I want to know is that, is it yes?
Well, the 1.9 billion is rather the debt as of 2015.
Yeah,
but
how much did we raise?
We are raising 917 million cedis to deal with the debt.
Okay, so we own 1.9 billion, is that correct? And we raised so far 900 million, is that correct?
Right.
Very good. So we're not there yet. And you think 10 years more will clear the debt. But what I want to know is that, are we still clearing the old debt, the one we started with?
Yeah.
Or along the way, whilst we are clearing the old debt, somebody decide to incur more debt on a daily basis, knowing that the good people of Ghana will continue to pay for it.
Exactly. Mr. Wadaka is suggesting that when the TOR debt levy started in 2003, new debts have been incurred over the years.
Very good. So these guys love incurring debt because people of Ghana will be ready to pay for it. Now, if this TOR were a private company, 2009 they owe money. They go to the bank, can you reschedule our debts? I'm sure they will do everything possible not to get into the bad habit of incurring more debt. They will do so if it's a private company. This is a public company. Is that correct?
Right.
They came, they say they owe money. Can you help us out? We're going to levy you guys all. We say, okay, let's see what we can do. They levy us, we are paying. And this guy have the audacity to come back and say, look, you guys will continue paying, because I'm continuing incurring debt. And we should not ask you, why in God's name do you continue to incur debt? We are the one paying. We must know. I think this guy should go hold another press conference and tell us, why is he still incurring debt? If he's still incurring debt, we are paying as he's incurring. In 10 years' time, you continue to incur, and we are paying, then it will never end. Is he saying that in 10 years' time, he will stop incurring debt, we have cleared it, and there will not be any debt anymore? Never, never, never. No, it is not true. If they continue incurring debt, which I think they do, nobody is checking them. Nobody looking at the figures, because it's a public company. If it's a private company, they will have been out of business by now. Somebody else will take over, will do the job better. I bet you if TOR were a private company, we the people of Ghana will not be paying this debt. And I'm sure we will still get the petroleum refined by somebody, because we need petrol, don't we? It's a good business. Somebody will do it. So I think that this 10 years is predicting, if this is why we wanted to pay for another 10 years, and it's not telling us it's going to stop incurring debt, people of Ghana, I think, the 10 years is a conservative figure. Because the guy, there's a relationship we have with TOR now.
Okay.
They incur, we pay. Okay. There's no end to it.
All right, I'm grateful. Mr. Temensah, so Mr. Wadako is again suggesting that, in fact, the debt is as a result of the subsidies that government keeps talking about or paying. Now, this is a big issue because if you remember ECG tariffs and the fact that there was some money released that was said to be subsidy, and then later on it became a realignment and all that. This issue of government paying subsidy and the fact that government says, well, if the people are suffering, I can't sit down and watch them, so I need to come in with the subsidies. Mr. Wadako says, as long as government pays subsidies, the debt will continue to grow.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about, when it comes to these public financing stuff, I don't want to get into it. But not too long ago, if my memory serves me right, there was a story in the newspapers that said categorically that TOR has started making profits.
Right. And there was even a church service on that.
To thank God that they have started making
Yeah, there was a church service. The staff...
I don't know. So that's why I'm saying that I don't know. I can't reconcile these things. You are making profits, that's operational profit, proper profit. in one breath. In another breath, the public should pay for your debts for you. I don't know. I may sound very ignorant, but I'm just saying that things are not adding up. And Kwame is the CEO of TOR and CEO of BOST at the same time. So the two very important organizations under his management. So if we need another 10 years, then as Prof just said, it will rather be in perpetuity, because the end is not in sight. The end, it does not look. It's a pure mathematical situation that we find ourselves. And if it's mathematical, then things don't add up for me.
Grateful. Let's quickly look at this one before we run out of time. The Finder newspaper talks about 530,000 dead on register and only 64,000 names removed. The General Telegraph is talking about EC's attempts at perhaps getting their concerns on elections closer to them. There's a TV program to answer questions live on TV. Let's begin with this one. Professor Jidonu, now only 64,000 over 500,000 dead people on the register have been deleted, and the EC says that families did well by supporting the EC with the proper documentation to get these names out, but only 64,000 out of 500,000, suggesting that the public we're sharing our responsibility to help the EC to clean the register.
Yes, that is true. You use the word responsibility. Do you think the people out there think that it's their responsibility to tell the EC that their people are deceased and then they should remove? My mother passed away.
Have you done that?
No, I didn't. Because I don't know where I'm supposed to do that and where am I supposed to go. I know my mother votes a lot. She always go in and voting and sitting down there. Yes, it's about it. I think a lot of people out there may also think the same way. They know their people used to vote. They know they pass away. But is it the next thing after the burial, the funeral, everything, never mind the expenditure, this thing, the next thing is you must go to the EC and report that your people are no more. I don't think a lot of public education have gone out there for the ordinary. I know they have been talking about it. I've used my own example. I want to be clear about this. It is true, what they're saying is true, but we need to know exactly what is the process. And will the good people of Ghana actually take the trouble to go and do that? So I think that is a difficult area. I don't really think I can help there. But now that I know, probably I should also go and probably remove my mother's name from the roster. Yes.
I don't know whether I can quickly draw attention back to the issue of the National Identification Project. I think that, again, politicians have not showed political will to make sure that this project is seen through. This would have solved this problem one time. If we had a proper national identification database that is connected to the EC, connected to everywhere, the moment and connected to the births and death registry, on the issue of the death certificate, it flags the person in the database. The world over.
It will just go off.
It will just go off. And we are sitting here and we are trying to solve obsolete problems. Meanwhile, the solution is in front of us. This national identification thing that we have put on the back burner, it will come back and haunt us and keep haunting us until one government decides that to hell with anything else, let's go for it. Because if we had that in place, there's a professor. He is a professor.
He's not done it.
No, and he didn't even know.
He doesn't even know where.
So the professor is saying that he didn't even know that he had any responsibility. How about us, the common ones? Yes,
I see.
So it's a bigger problem. But
Professor, the exhibition exercise doesn't offer people the chance to do that.
Oh.
No,
Not really. You know, we take
it's
a
the
lot
same
of
thing.
things for granted
Right.
in Ghana. Then I always say that the National Commission on Civic Education, in fact, that group has to be really well endowed.
No, it's malnourished. It's malnourished.
It's now malnourished to the bone.
Malnourished to the bone.
To the bone.
They have
But
nothing.
a quick one on this death. I will say, for voting purposes, we have the self cleaning, because the dead doesn't vote. But maybe some ghosts will come and vote, just as ghosts
In
take
the past,
salaries.
some ghosts were voting.
Voting, but I doubt whether they can see them and they can also see us. Then we have the official cleaning, where processes should be put in place. People should have where to go and so on. And that one also is limited. But the solution that is almost everywhere is the electronic cleaning with a good database, which
Mr.
Tamensa has made. I think we are at an age now that we should be thinking very seriously about solutions.
I'm grateful. Professor Cletus Didonu is the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of K. Consult. Professor Clement Didonu is the President of Accra Institute of Technology. Samuel Tamensa is the Chief Executive Officer of CTFM. I'm grateful for your time this morning, and we hope to see you somewhere next week.
Thank you.
All right.